Olivia, Damien Cox from Televitos, Chile. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So, Olivia, you've worked on several different documentaries like Flirty Dancing and Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy. What
Yeah.
attracted you to this story in particular?
So I think the thing that really attracted to me to it was how much it was getting traction on my social media. You know, it's something you look at all day, every day, and it's sort of I noticed it initially in August, and then it sort of getting got this new traction again over Christmas this year, and it just seemed to be snowballing, and the story seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. So that's what made me want to bring it to the team and pitch it to them. But I think really why we wanted to make the doc was because it does speak to a lot of deeper themes, sexual harassment and violence against women in terms of the book as well, and workplace safety in the workplace and things like that that are universal topics that sort of everyone can relate to, which yeah, I think is what makes it really fascinating to people generally.
So, this is an ongoing story, and both sides have their defense and their offense, let's say. How was it possible, or how were you guys able to keep it a balanced story, not inclined to one side when telling
Yeah.
the
It's a really good question because it's not the easiest thing. But I think working at ITN, we have a heritage in journalism, so we felt this real duty to keep the story neutral, and that was really, really important to us. Practically speaking, I think we had daily chats about the interviewees, and sort of making sure that we had weight on both sides and making sure that, we had voices from each camp to defend each side. But also, I think a lot of people are looking for a hero and a villain in this story. But the truth is that people are fallible. These are humans. This is a human story, and no one is inherently good or bad. And I think that seeing it from that perspective really helps you stay neutral, which was yeah really really important to us.
So the during the documentary we can see several images, different footage and different documents that for many of us we've never seen before. How were you able to get access to this information, and was it very difficult to be able to get that access?
I think getting the information we didn't find too hard. A lot of it was released by the lawyers, and there was this huge website that was set up by one of the lawyers to sort of spread all this information. But we had to verify that it was all true. That's a big thing as well. And we had some really good lawyers who watched the documentary many times and also sort of checked all of our footage to make sure everything was above board. Yes, so everything you see is verified very carefully.
So Hollywood is has a history of controversies. I mean, a long, long, long history of controversies. Uh, what makes this controversy in particular special and stand out from the others?
I think a lot of the controversies around Hollywood, they've been, I don't want to use the word personal, but I suppose sort of on a personal level, whereas this is a professional relationship that we're looking into, which I think does divide it a little bit, but also because of social media, which I've touched on, it became such a snowball. And I think the sort of lawyers have almost played into the social media in a way by releasing all of this information and doing this sort of trial by public opinion. So I think that that has really, and that's sort of why it's so modern, and how it's sort of you can divide it from other controversies, I think.
So I'm glad you mentioned social media because in this story and in a lot of stories lately, it's become like a second battlefield.
Mm.
So how did you approach the documentary? Documenting the impact of online reactions and the division among fans.
I think again it's this weight thing and trying to weigh up the voices from either side on the social media. The book became famous because of book talk. And the scandal broke because of social media. I don't think it would have been anywhere near as big if social media hadn't played a part in telling the story. And I think we play homage to that by including voices from social media, including clips where people speak on social media and speak their mind. And this can sort of show the weight and the sort of passion people feel from both sides, which I think it was important for us to display. We want to stay neutral, but we need to show the truth of what happened. And the truth is that people were very divided. And I think using social media clips was a really clear way of doing that.
Right. So they also have the involvement of several big names besides, our main characters. We have Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift. How
Mm.
did the involvement shape the storytelling in this case?
I think we sort of probably wouldn't have brought them up if they weren't actually involved in the case. They're both named in the lawsuit. And so it was really important to the story that they're mentioned. And I think they sort of add to the story. There's that famous clip in Ted Pool, which Baldoni says was based on him, and it felt sort of absurd looking at it because obviously it's a comedy, but obviously you have to include that because it sort of plays into the narrative, and within the context of the story, it's important. So yeah, I think they're both named in the lawsuit, and that's why they sort of needed to be included in the story.
But I mean, it must have been very difficult, and I think the documentary does this very well, that it doesn't step over into sensationalism
Yeah.
when such big names, it could have very easily done that. How were you able to achieve that? What was the line that you wouldn't cross, let's say?
Yeah, I think it was really important. I'm glad that that came across to you. Yeah. How did we achieve that? I think sort of very much sitting down. We had a WhatsApp group where we all sat down. We said, guys, we've got to stay neutral, no opinions, and that was really important to us. But I think the other thing that we did was to bring in expert voices, which was really important to us. We have a lawyer who appears on screen as well as a PR expert. So, they're not bringing some sensationalist idea of what happened. They're bringing in a professional opinion of what's happened. It's not just, someone random talking about it. This is someone who has dealt with cases like this before. So it's an informed opinion, and it gives the viewer an opportunity to make their own opinion based on the facts, which was, yeah, I think if we'd started straying into our own opinions, yeah, we'd have sort of lost the goal of what we wanted to make. So I'm really glad that you felt that way.
So one of the things that the story, well, I like to say story, though it is a real case,
Yeah, it's
the
fine.
documentary goes over is how the point that the book tries to make about domestic violence is somehow lost
Hmm.
in the case. How important was it for you and for your team to remind the audience that among all what was going on, there was actually a very, very deep and important story behind it?
Yeah, that was really, really important to us, and I really hope the documentary sort of puts that across. And I think we do comment on in the documentary and say, the point of Colleen Hoover's book is to raise awareness, and that's what everyone wanted, and that's what sort of sparked the scandal in the first place, was that, people felt that the film wasn't focusing and the press tour wasn't focusing enough on domestic violence. And so our hope is that this documentary will sort of draw attention back in that direction, because that is so important, definitely.
So continuing with this theme, what would you like audiences in Latin America, but audiences in general, to walk away with? Do you want people to see a documentary and say, well, it's about justice, it's about the power dynamics in Hollywood, or what was your main focus here?
I think our focus was to show that these are real people, and to speak to those more important and deeper points. I hope people don't walk away feeling that they've just watched something salacious. I want them to walk away and think this is an analysis of dynamics in the workplace. This is an analysis of sexual harassment. This is a deeper look at how social media can be manipulated. And these are things that they can think about in their own lives, as well as sort of on this pedestal of Hollywood. So yeah, that's my hope.
So Universal Plus is positioning this as one of its most high-profile premieres. How has the sorry, how has the collaboration with the platform influenced the way you crafted the documentary?
I this one's a difficult one because it was initially commissioned in the UK for Channel 5 and in the States for Discovery, not for Universal specifically.
Okay.
Not really sure how to answer that, I'm afraid.
So it hasn't.
Yeah, in short, yeah.
So now if you could describe he says, he said, she said in just a few words, how would you describe it?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it is a careful analysis of a huge Hollywood story that speaks to universal themes.
So
Should have practiced that one.
So here we at Revista Televitos, we like to ask, it's a kind of a weird question, but please
Okay,
bear with me. We like to ask people that if they could go back in time and, well, normally actors or directors, do any movie or TV show or whatever that's ever been done. But in your case, if you could go back and do any documentary that's ever been done, which would you choose and why?
that's a really, really good question. And I'm gonna shoot from the hip. The first thing that comes to mind is there's a really amazing documentary on Disney Plus called The Rescue, which is about the Thai cave rescue. The
Ah, yeah.
the schoolboys,
Yeah.
the football team, and
Mhm.
it's a really beautiful documentary. They have amazing access, and it's just told in the most sort of empathetic and beautiful way. And I think if I could spend an hour thinking about the answer to this, I could come up with something else. But that's something that really stands out in my mind.
Um, so my last question, any messages for your fans here in, well, your audiences here in Chile?
Watch the documentary on September the 2nd, please. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that it is really informative for you and gives you a chance to make your own opinion about this story.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.